These punks found a pair of advanced alien armor. They tried to cut it with a cutting machine. But it can't be cut at all. And when they looked carefully, the damaged parts of armor would be repaired automatically when it came into contact with water. At this moment a man with yellow hair curiously put his hand into the tentacles of the armor. But didn't expect this heavy armor to synchronize the movements of human body. Almost weightless. It was even more amazing than Avatar, but the next second the armor stuck out countless spikes. It all pierced his skin. The man in pain screamed and others pulled his hand out with great efforts. Seeing that this armor was too dangerous. Too scared to touch it again. Tayoma decided to turn it over to the state and maybe get a lot of bounty. Only to meet a group of people protesting and marching. Tayoma was kind enough to come forward to mediate. As a result, he was beaten up by the armed police as a thug. This made Tayoma very angry. So he hid the alien armor. Where did the alien armor come from? Almost a day ago, Moscow ushered in a meteor shower once in 100 years. Countless people have come to watch. Coincidentally, in the silent space. There was also a UFO flying. But when passing through the Earth it was impacted by a strong meteor shower. The flying object had to be exposed its real body. But also deviated from the course. And by mistake with the meteor shower rushing to the Earth. The Russian aircraft carrier Kuznetsov discovered this UFO mixed in meteor showers in space ahead of time. And invaded Russia at a speed of 600 to 5,000 kilometers per hour. The Russian army thought it was going to be attacked, so several fighters and bombers immediately took off from the aircraft carrier and the ground. Trying to intercept in the air. But didn't get any reply. At this time everyone was still looking at the meteors in the sky with great interest. Without knowing the coming danger. Tayoma went to the rooftop with his girlfriend Julia and her best friend. They are watching the meteors together. But Tayoma was obviously not interested in meteors show. He just wanted to be intimate with his girlfriend now. And under Tayoma's constantly asking. The girl finally agreed to give them the key to her room directly. The girl stayed alone and enjoyed the spectacular scene with a telescope. With the roar of helicopters, the ordered fighters began to fire 2 missiles at unknown object. After the UFO was hit hard, it generated an energy shock wave, causing the nearby fighters to completely lose control. In a critical moment the pilot had to parachute. Emergency landing. At the same time all electronic devices within 100 miles were also interfered by electromagnetic waves. People looked up and saw a huge UFO braving thick smoke. Falling rapidly towards the center of Moscow. They just reacted and fled in a hurry. But it was too late because the falling speed was too fast. The girl on the rooftop was killed directly. Tayoma and Julia in the room were also suffering the disaster. Thankfully, Tayoma moved quickly. He caught Julia falling from the tall building. The flying object with sparks and lightning crashed into a pile of buildings. The flying ring was like a rotating blade. Cut off the tall buildings along the way and finally crashed a few blocks of buildings. The flying object slowly fell to the ground. And began to slide. The land passed by became a pile of ruins. Has caused great damage to the central city of Moscow. As a result, more than 200 people died and the whole of Moscow was shrouded in unprecedented panic. The military's first reaction was the invasion of alien civilization. Immediately sealed off the scene. After Colonel Lebedev, the National Defense Commander, received instructions from his superiors. A congressional representative, and he went into the blockade. Prepared for peaceful exchanges with alien civilization. Trying to understand the purpose of their arrival on Earth. To prevent accidents, the military deployed snipers on nearby high-rise buildings. Responded at any time. This was an alien wearing mechanical armor. Emerging from the spaceship, the alien communicated with the 2 people with brain waves. However, congressional representative with pacemakers was disturbed by electromagnetic waves. He soon fell down. Colonel Lebedev can only report to Congress himself. He said that an alien spacecraft accidentally fell to the Earth during its cruise in space. No intention of invasion, and asked humans not to approach the spacecraft. They fixed the ship and left immediately. High-level officials were not very happy with this explanation. But considering that alien spacecraft may be equipped with future space-time weapons. And to avoid conflict with aliens. Finally, it was decided to establish an isolation zone around the area where the spacecraft crashed. Gave the aliens some time to fix the ship. And stationed armed forces to guard. Got ready to attack alien spacecraft in case of accident. Julia, who was injured on the other side, woke up from the hospital. After learning that her best friend was killed, she was deeply saddened. She thought these aliens killed her best friend. So at that moment a stubborn revenge plan against alien visitors has been come out in Julia's mind. After taking his father's pistol, she found his boyfriend Tyoma in the repair shop, asking him accompany her to find the aliens, to revenge for her dead best friend. Seeing a girl was so brave to do it, they decided to join in. So Tyoma took his buddies and formed a small team, sneaked into the quarantine area from the secret passage at night, avoided a nearby patrol and entered a building that was about to collapse. They found an alien device inside. Julia walked into her best friend's room alone. After seeing the picture of her best friend, she had mixed feelings in her heart. Fell silent. Just then, an alien suddenly appeared. Julia was shocked, raised her gun and shot the alien, but slipped and fell. Fortunately, the alien caught her in time, saved her life. Julia stared at the alien in surprise. She found a face flashing faintly in the helmet. This made so surprised. When her boyfriend came over, he immediately beat up the alien. The alien was caught off guard, didn't hold it firmly. Straight down from a height. They hurried downstairs to check. There was only empty armor left. And the blood inside was just like humans. However, only Julia saw the alien, who hid aside. Covered with dust, he looked exactly like human beings. But she didn't speak out, but took the alien armor back as trophies with everyone. Unexpectedly, this movement attracted soldiers patrolling nearby. They were forced to leave their metal device behind. Just escaped with the armor, and the soldiers who came also brought the alien metal device back to the laboratory. After the scientists saw this product, only realized that their technology was far ahead of the human civilization. Scientists had no way to start this. When Julia got home, she had trouble sleeping. She couldn't sleep when she thought of the alien who saved her life. Even forgot her best friend's revenge. So she secretly went to the quarantine area alone. Wrapped the unconscious alien in plastic film. Then loaded him into a truck with a trolley. Driving all the way to school, she found a classmate Ruslin who was determined to become a doctor and asked him to check the injuries of the alien. Ruslin was very surprised to see the alien. It turned out that aliens were humanoid creatures like us when they took off their armor. He later confirmed that the body structure of this alien was indeed the same as that of humans. But he lost too much blood, so he needed blood transfusion in time. So they secretly took it to the hospital. And entered the operating room smoothly through Ruslin's father's contact in the hospital. Through blood test, Ruslin found that the alien's blood type was completely consistent with Julia's blood type. Julia gave the alien blood transfusion without hesitation. Soon after, the alien really woke up. Two people looked at each other. After the blood transfusion, Julia came to the alien. Pulled out the needle for him. Suddenly, as soon as the alien grasped Julia's hand, the high-tech bracelet originally worn on the alien's wrist was suddenly transferred to Julia's wrist. This surprised Julia, but she didn't have time to think about it too much. Hurriedly drove the alien home. After tying him up, she finally had time to take a bath and relax herself. However, the scene before her startled her. The bracelet could control water molecules. And she could control the whereabouts of water at will. At the same time, the government found that alien spacecraft sucked all the rivers around the crash site like magnetic force. In order to repair the damaged ship. The government obviously were not dissatisfied with this behavior. Wanted to stop it, but Colonel Lebedev strongly disagreed. After all, it was shot down by us. Maybe they were really passing by. So we could only continue to wait and see. Soon after, the alien also woke up. He could speak fluent Russian. And introduced himself as Hakan. This surprised Julia and Ruslin. Julia saved him only because he saved her before. She was worried that the alien would spring troubles to herself. So he was given some clothes to leave the Earth as soon as possible. Hakan left consciously without too much explanation. But the area was sealed off and he didn't have any documents on him. So he was taken away as a suspect. Fortunately, Julia found out in time and immediately chased the police car. Julia went to the police station and showed her father's identity. It turned out that her father was Colonel Lebedev, the National Defense Commander. Then she easily released Hakan on bail. This time, Julia completely forgot that her best friend's revenge. Hakan told Julia when the spaceship crashed, the most important core energy inside was knocked away. If he wanted to go back to his own planet, had to retrieve this energy stone. Otherwise, the spaceship couldn't travel to the place 47 light-years away from the Earth at all. Julia knew that the energy stone was taken away by the military. Seeing Hakan's eager eyes, Julia promised to help him. So he took Hakan to the military base where her father was located. But they were told by the guard on duty not to enter. Julia had no choice but to ask the guard to tell her father that she was pregnant. As a father, Colonel Lebedev naturally met Julia and Hakan for the first time. After her father saw Julia and Hakan, he was so furious, thinking young people were too impulsive. After asking other people in the room to leave, Julia told her father that Hakan was only one of the candidates for the father of the child. Julia's words really made her father so speechless at the moment. Julia stepped forward and hugged her father, and told him that it was just a joke. Then she took the opportunity to steal her father's access card. Let Hakan hurry to the laboratory to get back the energy stone. Hakan walked all the way with the pass. He sneaked into the laboratory disguised as Colonel Lebedev. With a touch, he took out the core energy stone of the equipment. The scientist on the side was stunned. It took a long time to react and he immediately sounded the alarm. Colonel Lebedev heard the alarm at the base and was worried about his daughter's safety. So personally sent Julia and Hakan back. However, he didn't know that the alien was actually in his own car. Hakan said that he would load the energy stone on the spaceship as soon as possible. Because it was still early before the curfew, Julia could only take Hakan back to her home first. In the process of getting along, Hakan looked at Julia's dog's eyes. Got to know that the dog was seriously ill, so Hakan made Julia's puppy immortal through the energy stone. This touched Julia. It turned out that aliens were immortal races. Later, Julia gave Hakan a taste of the food on the Earth. Hakan thought it was really tasty. The two smiled happily. Suddenly, Colonel Lebedev came back. No doubt, Hakan was wanted in the country now. Julia could only be forced to move with Hakan. Two people had nowhere to go, so they went to Ruslin's house first. Julia found 2 tickets for the concert. Thought it was a very tense escape journey. Julia and the alien were still in the mood to watch the concert. They immediately took off their coats and reveled with the restless music. Tyoma, who was honest all the way, still had no idea about his girlfriend's behavior. With their hands folded, Hakan brought Julia into his own field of consciousness. This was his hometown. The water powered everything on this planet. Hakan told Julia that they were highly developed in science and technology, and had achieved eternal life. Originally, the policy of no contact with the Earth was implemented. After all, they thought that the Earth was a planet with a high violence index. But because the spacecraft was involved in the meteor shower, had to come into close contact with human beings, their technology was not allowed to leak to the Earth. If anyone boarded the spaceship, they would be killed. After the energy stone was restored, they would fly the spaceship off the Earth. Never came again. Julia thought that Hakan was about to leave. Suddenly an inexplicable sense of loss welled up in her mind. The vengeance girl who was supposed to drive the alien out of the Earth had feelings for this non-aggressive alien visitor. Their intimate behavior happened to be seen by her boyfriend's friend. He immediately informed Tyoma about it. After the concert, Julia went to the vicinity of the spaceship with Hakan. At the moment of parting, 2 people looked at each other and kissed deeply. Julia's boyfriend Tyoma saw everything. He didn't expect to be cheated on by Julia in just one day. How could he not be angry? It was just a beating. Hakan didn't fight back. After all, he was wrong. Julia quickly explained that Hakan was an alien. She also said that he was a higher species than human beings. Julia's words made Tyoma more angrier. Directly slapped her girlfriend Julia. When Hakan saw Julia being beaten, he seemed to be exploded completely. And showed his great strength, but he didn't kill anyone. Simply beat them down. The man with yellow hair immediately pulled out the pistol and prepared to shoot the alien, but killed his companion in the chaos. The patrol also arrived at the scene at this time. When Tyoma saw it, he immediately ran away. The irrational Tyoma blamed all of this on the alien. The alien led to the death of his companion, and began to spread rumors on the internet. The news of the hidden dangers brought by aliens to the Earth quickly spread all over the internet. He began to incite those who lost loved ones in the accident, stirring up people to fight the aliens, and said that his friend was killed by the alien. Therefore, the battle ardor of the people was awakened by a guy who wanted to avenge himself. Soon, a mob rushed to the quarantine area. The military tried to stop it and a riot broke out. Aware of the danger, the spacecraft also dispatched a large number of armored fighters. The two sides immediately went to war. Obviously, aliens didn't want to conflict with humans. They just knocked down the attackers but didn't really kill them. Everything was for self-protection, and at the same time, it was also preventing humans from approaching the spaceship. However, it was the street civilians who really did it. Under the high-pressure threat of unknown alien spacecraft, people were completely out of control, but aliens have been restrained. Tried not to harm human beings. Under the pressure of his superiors, Colonel Lebedev was in desperation. He can only choose to go to war with aliens. To help Hakan leave the Earth safely, Julia took the opportunity to steal her father's gun and threatened him with her own life. She wanted to send Hakan to the spaceship. This was the only way to stop the war. Her father could only let her take a chance. In this way, Julia drove as fast as possible. She must hurry to get Hakan aboard the alien spaceship. Because Hakan told her that if humans continued to attack like this, once things got out of hand, the ship would start the self-destruct program. Everyone would be killed by a huge energy wave. In the chaos, an alien armor appeared behind the car. It was Julia's ex-boyfriend Tyoma. He was determined to retaliate against his betrayed girlfriend and kill Hakan, who intervened. Seeing that Julia was injured innocently, Hakan was also angry and ready to fight back. Immediately, Hakan confronted Tyoma with his anger in his heart. However, Hakan without armor was no match for Tyoma at all. And the alien equipment with the alien armor which could smash the car and deform with one hammer, Tyoma beat Hakan hardly. Although Hakan was defeated and unable to fight back, he didn't explode and he could still stand the attack with his fresh body. At that moment, Julia finally woke up. She immediately started the armored car and hit Tyoma directly. This saved Hakan. This time, the military had always exercised the same restraint as aliens. Cooperated with the armored aliens to guard the spacecraft and quickly subdued the rioting crowd. They took control of the situation and voluntarily laid down the weapons in front of aliens. It seemed that everything would live in peace. However, although the radical and violent Tyoma had a sense of justice, but the sense of justice was used in the wrong place. Extreme self-emotion. In the case of his girlfriend's empathy, he inevitably became the mastermind of inciting riots. Finally, the damaged armor threw him out. When he saw Julia and Hakan embracing each other in love, he was still unwilling and decisively picked up the submachine gun. Although Hakan protected Julia in time, the bullets still punctured both of them. The soldiers quickly controlled Tyoma. At this time, the alien spaceship started and Colonel Lebedev was still calm. Ordered his men not to be impulsive, which won the appreciation of the armored aliens. Two more powerful aliens brought Julia and Hakan back to the spaceship. And put the two in dying in a spa container. Treated them with their high technology. Colonel Lebedev was also surprised to find that those armored aliens were controlled by the system. At this time, Sol, the artificial intelligence on the spaceship, told Colonel Lebedev. In order to keep Julia alive, Hakan was willing to use half of his life to renew her life. Because human beings were a very aggressive species. The Earth was banned from public access by aliens. Despite the pleasant climate on the Earth. But in the past 5,000 years, 4 billion people have died tragically. There have been 15,000 military conflicts. If humans continued to kill each other, in 600 years, human civilization would perish. Natural resources would be completely exhausted. Mercury aliens were another evolutionary race split from human beings. Technology was superior to human beings and they didn't like to fight against each other. There was no love and hate and naturally there were no disputes. So they became an immortal race. They didn't want to participate in the destruction position of human beings on Earth. They originally planned to observe the Earth from a distance. Would not come into contact with humans until it was confirmed that the Earth was not aggressive. But Julia and Hakan were willing to give their lives to help each other. This made Sol have a different view of human beings. He realized that there was something more important than immortality. When they went back, they would reassess the Earth. Subsequently, Julia was successfully resurrected through spa regeneration. It was time for aliens to leave. With the injection of energy stone, the spaceship started successfully. Julia and his father hugged each other tightly, watching the slowly rising spaceship to take the unconscious Hacken away from the Earth. The moment the spaceship left the Earth, it returned all the absorbed water resources to the Earth. At the end of the story, whether aliens existed or not, it was still an unknown mystery.